Well, good evening and welcome to Senior Info once again. And this week we have a guest with us.
We do, and it's good to be back, Harry. We took a couple of weeks off.
Yeah, and we're off next week.
Yes, we are off next week, so
But
we'll
then
be
we'll be back
returning
after that.
the week of the 17th. But yes, so it's good to be back, and you look well. And
Well, as far as I know, I haven't got COVID yet, but
well, let's not say yet. Let's not say yet.
no, I think we're on the decline on it now, so we should be
hopefully.
We
good.
hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Patrick Stewart is one of the bus drivers at the senior center.
Right, yeah.
He's our guest this week, and we're going to talk about. You must have some great experiences.
Oh, yeah, I have a lot of them, yeah. I was saying to Kelly today when we were talking about it, I said if I told any stories, I would keep it genderless and nameless. And
Oh yeah,
so-
yeah. We don't give
Don't
any
want to
names.
mention any names or
No.
whatever, but
No,
yeah.
we don't want any
there's-
lawsuits.
Yeah, right.
But some of the viewers could probably guess who we're talking
Oh, yeah,
about.
yeah, imagine, yeah. Especially the ones, if they're watching that rode on the bus but yeah.
Well, you had an unusual situation. What, today? You picked up 2 cats?
Yeah, today, 2 different riders had cats for taking to the same vet, and
So you
that
can
was-
say, I don't know if the WRTA would do that.
I don't know. So, as I've always said, sometimes I bend the rules a little bit. And in this particular case, or with both of these clients, their cats were going to be in carriers.
Well, yeah, they have to be in carriers to go to the vet anyway.
Exactly.
Mhm,
Right.
yeah.
So it wasn't like we were dealing with a dog, but we have dealt with a
Yeah.
dog in the past.
Yeah.
There was a dog, a service dog, for a vet in town that needed to,
Well, a service dog is allowed to go anywhere.
right.
yeah.
I believe he was a service dog.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But in a case like that, so today it was interesting because we had 2 people that needed transportation with their cats going to the
Right.
same vet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was an unusual day today. Today was actually quite a busy day for me. It was the busiest day I think I've had since we started back up. I had quite a few folks riding. 2 of them were the people with the cats, and we have to clean every time we have somebody.
Yeah, you
once
gotta
they get off, I have to
disinfect the whole bus.
clean the whole thing off. So it got a little tricky because they were riding, one right after the other. I would pick one up, and as a matter of fact, I went to Walmart, and I had 3 people. I had 1 getting off and 2 getting on, and so I had to it was something new. I had to say, wait a minute, let me take time to clean the bus, and then one of them that got on was riding with me while I went to get the person that had the cat. So I had to ask her to make sure that she was okay with that. Otherwise, I would have had to take her home and come back. But she said she didn't have a problem with cats. So
Well, the cat's not a problem. They're in
Yeah.
a carrier, so.
yeah. But sometimes they might be
It's an
allergic.
allergy.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that was our only concern.
Yeah.
So we just cleared it with everybody. But we've been back with our transportation service for it's a month today.
Oh, it was a month
Yes,
today.
it's been a month. And as Patrick was saying, today was busier, but for the most part, it's kind of been slow, which is interesting. So people are still
Well,
being,
you think it's slow because they didn't really realize you were back?
it could be that, but other folks are still relying on services and other ways or other means
Relatives,
of,
neighbors,
exactly.
whatever.
Yes, and some people are still very cautious about even going out.
Yes,
finding.
I hear that. They're so concerned about getting COVID that they don't even want to go out.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not good either.
No, and that raises another concern with social isolation, which can lead to health problems and
Sometimes I think that they go too far with the warnings. They say, well, if you're diabetic, if you're over, 65 or whatever, I don't pay any attention to it, because I got them all anyway.
You got it covered.
Yeah, so, but I'm not gonna worry about it, because if I worry, I'm gonna curl up in my house and die.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You got to stay active.
As long as you're cautious and do all the right things.
Yeah.
Bottom line, you wear your mask when you need to. If you
Yes.
know you're going to be in close proximity with people, and wash those hands.
Yeah.
See, that's another thing, you gotta watch how many people you pick up, because you have to.
Yeah, we have a limit on the
Yeah, you
bus.
have to
Stagger.
distance them in
Yeah.
the bus.
Yeah, and for the most part, that's why today was unusual, because for the most part, it's been like one at a time. Like I'll pick up one person, take them to Shaw's, and maybe then I'll go get somebody and take them to Walmart. So it gives me, and there's some time in between. But
Right.
today was, like I said, all of a sudden I had 2 people at Walmart and another one, I was picking them up and another one was going all at the same time. So I had 2 on it.
Well, that's a good point now. When we put out some information here, you don't do a regular route,
No.
We did prior to.
Yeah.
yes, but now it's called the senior center, right?
Yes.
And you book them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea, especially if you're gonna be place at a certain
If
time.
you have an appointment somewhere.
Yeah, have an
Yeah.
appointment, give the senior center a good early call,
Right.
so they can book it,
Yeah.
Exactly.
and you don't have someone else, wow, we got 2 people going 2 different directions at the same time.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And
But you
even
do have 2 buses, so,
we do have 2, but we don't. Right now, we're just running the 1 because that's all the need is at this point. But we do find that I lost my train of thought right there. But we do find that things are picking up a little bit more.
Yeah.
So in terms of, we did put a call out when we first brought the service back to the people that utilized our transportation.
right.
And then there were a few, like Patrick had mentioned a few to me that we hadn't heard from. So we reached out to them. And yes, they had received the call, but hadn't felt the need to
Yeah.
use the service yet. And so then we figured, well, tonight might be a good opportunity to spread the word a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. And it's good that you point out that if you have an appointment to call in advance, like I would say at least a day ahead.
We
if
say
you know.
24 hours.
Yeah, because you have to schedule it, and
Right.
Right.
if someone else calls it and needs to, you really have to work that out.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, we had one that they called in today to go to Walmart, and as it happened, they checked with me on the route. I'm out on the road, and we have like a radio communication, and they said this person would like to go. Is it possible? And it happened to be. It was fine. I was
Oh,
going
that's
right by.
another thing too now, you have radio communications, so
Yeah.
if you're out there, you can always get a call to go pick someone up.
Yeah, but the preferred is that, like you said, to have them call
Right.
in advance so that we can have a schedule, because we
Yeah,
schedule them
and
out.
also for, save gas too, you don't wanna be going in 2 different directions.
Right,
and
yeah, running around.
Right.
Running
yeah.
around.
Yeah,
We do have a 2-way radio system. It's not the best. It depends on what part of town they are in
Yeah.
for reception. So if we are having a hard time, if it's very staticky, what we try to communicate to the drivers is, when you can pull over, give us a call. And they do have their cell phones on them, but obviously
You on the town system?
we are, I don't know if it's the town system, but we are connected. We have an antenna on top of our,
Oh, okay,
Roof.
all right.
but
then.
we're on a different station
You're-
from
Yeah, you're on a
the,
different frequency than the town system.
yeah,
The town has antennas at the water tower,
right,
oh,
and that covers the fire, police, the highway.
right, yes.
but not the
But
senior center.
we're not on that station, but
Right.
we have the same gentleman that services that,
From Motorola.
Mr. Budanza,
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
yes,
He does my brothers as well.
okay, yes. So he, works on our radio system, but I know we're not on the same frequency as, 'cause then we would be hearing everybody.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
on the radio, you mean,
right,
yeah.
right.
The future of that is going to be the internet.
Mhm.
and, 'cause
Which I would love to learn more about.
well, you're gonna have what they, you have hotspots now.
Right.
Eventually, if we go to this, is it G5 or G5, I forget now, I get mixed up with all these different networks they're coming out with. But anyway, eventually, that's what you'll have, is the same as a cell phone.
Okay.
And that'll work on two-way radios, and it'll
Nice.
be all
nice.
over, so it'll,
That would make a
it'll go through
difference.
the internet and get picked up just like you do with a cell phone.
Oh, nice, yeah.
So our phone system at the senior center is new as of January, and that is run through the internet.
Yeah, and that, I mean, that's what, everything's gonna be through the internet.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Eventually, you'll probably have video communication with the bus. Yeah, I mean, this is,
Well, that would be interesting. I could be like the bus monitor.
Yeah, you could
I
be,
could
yeah.
Yeah.
watch all the behavior on the
Yeah.
bus.
Yeah, and you could also,
Yeah.
validate all the stories that we come back with.
That's right.
That they're
I could-
actually true.
If you're telling me the truth. Yes.
right.
We have, Patrick will attest to this. We just have some wonderful people that we work with, and
Yes.
but the stories are sometimes so unbelievable that we feel like we should write a book.
Well, that is true. I mean, it's a really unusual stuff that takes place,
Mm-hmm.
and it'd make a good book.
It would.
Yeah.
It would.
Well, everybody has a story, and everybody does, and particularly the elderly, which is most of the people that we give rides to, and they're, one of the things that the other bus driver, Jeff Allard, and myself, excuse me, we're both pretty personable, and we like to interact with them. We like to talk to them, trying to keep the conversations to a little bit of a minimum because we're driving and paying attention. But we, we share the stories, and we ask them, how their life is and whatever, and
Yeah.
and they enjoy sharing that, and so that's part of the intrigue of.
Well, in
of
a lot of
driving.
cases, if they're alone, it's someone to talk to.
Mhm. Exactly.
too.
Yeah. One story I have in regards to that was he had called in to go to Walmart, and he'd gotten on the bus, and this was previous to COVID. So I had several people on the bus, and I drove down to Walmart, and all the other people got off, and he put $2 in. We charged $1 each way.
Yeah.
And he put $2 in, went back and sat down, and he said, "I just wanted to get out of the house and take a drive."
So he
So-
didn't even
Yeah.
go into the
Yeah,
store
he didn't go to the store, so he just, he rode around.
He just wanted
Little
someone to talk to.
Yeah,
and get out of the house.
Get out of the house.
and I wouldn't encourage everybody doing that because we'd have.
Well,
a
right now
full-
we're not. No, we're saying it's only for essential.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. I mean
Yeah.
that piece, the social isolation is
Yeah.
just, it's.
Well, that's one of the
problem.
purposes senior centers serve.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But you can't do that
We
now.
can't do it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And they miss that, so that's why I think.
Yeah.
I feel like what Jeff and I are doing now is a huge thing for those who have been kind of pent up in the house with the COVID, and allows them to at least get out and also be able to go shopping or go to Walmart or whatever they need to do.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this thing breaks before winter, because at least now they can get out of the house and walk around the yard or something,
Right.
but you get
Come
into
winter.
winter, now you're really trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's nice weather. They can get out, and you see them. I see them. In my traveling around, they'll be outdoors, and even if they're not riding on the bus, if I see them, I toot at them
Yeah.
and they wave, and so there's a really great relationship that we've put together with all the folks, clients, I guess, or whatever you want, patrons, or however you want to call them.
Riders.
They're just
Our
Right.
friends.
our friends. Yeah.
Now, you're 100% volunteer, right?
No.
No, it's a paid position.
Oh, it is? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So it's a retirement job.
it is. Yeah, I'm semi-retired, and
Yeah. You gotta stay busy. I keep working. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Are
you've
you
been.
from town originally?
I'm not originally. I've lived here 41 years, I think it is. Yeah.
Oh, wow, you're
Yeah.
well established.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are you from originally? A little
I'm
bit about-
originally from Iowa.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
yeah.
And would you get employment out here? Or?
I kind of migrated out here. I taught school in the Midwest, and my brother had he was in the service, and he met a girl and married her, and they lived out here, and then I just visiting, coming out. I was single at the time, and I eventually moved out here, and that's how I met my wife.
And she's from here.
She's from Westboro, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you settled down in New England.
Yeah, yeah, and I love it. Whitensville is a great. I come from the Midwest, in a small town in the Midwest.
Yes.
So even though Whitensville is not like the town that I grew up in, but it's it's rural.
Well, the difference out here in Iowa, when you leave town, you know you left town.
Right, exactly.
Here, you don't know when you left one town and went to another.
Another.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Unless you see the sign entering.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely in Iowa, when you leave the town, you.
I tell people that, they don't understand. I say,
Yeah.
no, when you leave a town out in the west, in the Midwest, you know you left the
Yeah,
town.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Then you end up to all the cornfields.
Right. Exactly.
But, like I say, here, you can't, unless it says town line, you wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. The only difference might be, and I noticed this, when I first came out here, it was like traveling down the pike and and seeing all the trees and everything. There's so many. That's a funny thing about New England, and I had some friends who I grew up with in Iowa, and they came out here, and the first thing that they commented about was, "Wow, there's so many trees," because you think of New England, or you think of Massachusetts, you think of Boston.
Yep.
And you don't think of there being like a great amount of trees.
I'll tell you something, if they would've came here at the end of the 19th century, the late 1800s, they wouldn't have seen any trees.
Really?
No, they
Oh.
cut all the trees down
Wow.
from the coast all the way inland.
Oh,
Because,
interesting.
well, you use them for building,
Oh,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
and if you go out to western Mass, you can still see the kilns on the side of the mountain where they made charcoal.
Oh,
Because White Machine Works included,
Right.
they all used a lot of charcoal for their furnaces, especially for the steel furnaces. So they cut all the trees down. In fact, when the Europeans first got here, they were, wow, because they had cut all the trees in Europe.
Right.
If you've ever been to Europe, there's very few
Very
forests.
few.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they said, whoa, man, this is great, we got trees here.
Right.
And because they were building the boats.
Yeah.
And they loved it.
Yeah.
And Native Americans was, we don't need all it. What are they doing? They're cutting all the trees. We never found the need to do that.
Yeah.
The Europeans did. And that's what I say. There were no trees.
Yeah.
A lot of our forests are very young.
Yeah.
Right.
But one thing with the hardwood forests in New England, they grow back fast.
Yeah.
You see all the stone walls through the woods?
Yeah.
Because those are all fields.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, true. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's another thing that people notice that come from another part of the country is all the stone walls and.
That's another, what you might call Yankee ingenuity.
I was gonna say that makes us distinct, really.
Right.
Yeah, well, they got here and they said they needed fences.
Yeah.
And what's one of the most plentiful materials around? Stones.
And we have plenty of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they built them onto walls.
Yeah.
They would plow the fields. In fact, one of the comments was, in New England, people were moving out, when they started moving out to the New York area, I'm talking upper state New York, they said, we're so glad to get out of New England because the only thing we grow there is stones.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because when you would plow the field, that's all you'd
That's
hit.
all you
Right,
get.
yeah.
They got out there, it wasn't as bad, because, the glaciers really left a lot of debris behind here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Well, speaking of stones, at the senior center recently, we feel all the blasting from that project up on
Yes.
on Church Street.
Yes.
Our building feels like it's literally shaking when they're blasting. So there must be a ton of ledge up there.
Everywhere you go in this town,
Yeah.
it's ledge.
Right.
I've been on the planning board, well, I'll be on 20 years pretty soon, I think, if I'm not there now already. And everybody's run into the same thing.
Yes.
When they built the Shiny Rocks, I told the developer, the first developer, he went bankrupt. I told him, you're gonna go bankrupt in this. He goes, oh, no, I'll be all right. I grew up in those woods.
Right, you know.
I know what it's like.
Yeah.
And the road cost him a small fortune,
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
because it was all ledge.
Wow.
Is that why he had to wind it around too,
Yeah,
probably?
well,
Yeah.
part of it,
Yeah.
to make it climb too, so you don't,
Well, that's true, yeah, so you're not going
Yeah.
right.
Right, straight up.
Yeah.
but they have to blast down to be able to put the water lines in and the sewer lines, and
Right.
Yeah.
so you gotta get that ledge out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, I live on Benson Road. I remember when Benson Road, originally, all we did was oil it, and, oil and sand,
And that cuts down on the dust or,
yeah. But if you, over by my house, the ledge actually came out of the road.
wow.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And back in the early sixties, the highway department, Northbridge Highway Department itself, rebuilt Benson Road from Providence Road all the way up to Hill Street.
Wow.
And they did it all on their own.
Wow.
If you know Jerry Moran, remember Jerry Moran? Well, Jerry worked for the highway, he was a young guy back then.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
did
he
all,
lived on Hill Street.
yeah.
Yeah,
he-
Jerry passed away just,
Few weeks,
year,
about
yeah.
a month ago.
Yeah.
Maybe, a couple of months ago.
yeah, right,
He did all the blasting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they didn't hire anybody.
yeah,
They
No,
did everything on
They
their
did
own.
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, Jerry was Phil Moran's brother, and Phil's son lives in the house 2 up from the center.
Oh,
That's-
okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Yeah.
small world.
It is. Well,
But
yeah,
they had to
small town.
blast all the ledge out. In fact,
Right.
I got pictures of when they were building the road that my uncle took, Ed Postma.
Mhm.
And we put it together in a show, and we played it on NCTV.
Oh, nice.
I have to get Aaron to play it again.
Right.
People commented on it, I said, that's quite the thing you got there.
Yeah,
You know, all I do is put his pictures together and put some music behind it.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
you can see
The progression of it. Yeah.
what it looked like before
Right.
and what it looked like after. And in between, where all the digging was going on.
Yes.
Mm.
That's
But-
something.
Yeah. But none of the blasting hasn't done any harm to your building yet.
Not that I can see.
Okay.
No. It
Did
feels
they
like
do an
it's going.
inspection before?
Not of our. Not to
No, you know why?
us.
Because I think the state only requires 500 feet.
I was gonna say we're further down.
Yeah.
So, but we certainly feel it. The first time it happened, I really didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
And
if
then-
there was rumble, what's going
Yeah,
on? Is it an
yeah.
earthquake?
It was something, and
Yeah.
it's startling. But then we figured out it was the blasting. So
yeah. I was at Shaw's. I'd taken somebody down to Shaw's on the bus, and it sounded like an explosion. You know, I thought, wow, that
so
sounded
you
like
could
an
hear it all the
explosion.
way down there.
Yeah,
Wow.
It travels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with ledge, it'll
Yeah.
travel through the ledge like a conductor.
Right.
Yeah, that's why it's kind of surprising that they only have, the law is only 500 feet, because the ledge can run.
Yeah, that's the
From here
state.
to
I mean,
Grafton.
we get,
Right.
the planning board gets hit on this all the time. We say, wait, number one, the state sets up the rules, and number two, it's under the guidance of the fire department.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
We have nothing to do with it.
So
Really?
they go and do inspection or
Yeah.
make sure that they're doing the
In
right
fact, I
thing.
think the firefighters on hand when they do their blasting.
Actually, I have seen them there. You're right. Yes.
Yeah.
They have to be on standby, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. We've been utilizing the fire department to fog our vehicle. So every
Oh.
Friday, at the end of our shift,
yeah,
the drivers go up to the fire station, back it in like a pro, Patrick, and they use this fogging system
yes.
to sanitize the bus.
Oh, wow.
So while we're cleaning constantly,
Yeah.
this gives it that added protection.
Well, it's really
Yeah.
good cleaning. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing gonna be alive in there after that.
No,
Right, exactly, yeah.
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 yeah. So it leaves a little bit of a film, and after so many minutes, we're told to wipe it down, and then it sits for the weekend
Yeah.
and until we're back in service on Monday.
Yeah.
So it's actually worked out quite well.
Now, you don't test anybody before they get on the bus?
No,
No,
Temperature or anything like
No.
that?
but we
No.
require, you know, them to have face masks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, we gotta have one everywhere we go now.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But you'd be surprised, some people are kind of resistant, not anybody that I've had on the bus, but, you know, there are people who
Yeah.
kind of resist wanting to wear it, but they grumble a little bit.
But you can't go in the store.
Yeah,
No,
They will not, they will stop you.
yeah,
right, yeah.
yeah. Well, it's for everybody's protection, and it's, you know, it's, I don't know that anybody, other than kids, I see kids all the time wearing them, and it's probably like, almost like a game for them or something.
Yeah.
Like
you
a
know.
costume, yeah.
Yeah, you
Kinda
know,
like
they
Yeah.
probably
Halloween.
enjoy wearing it,
Right.
but
Yeah.
for the adults, it's
The only time that I would say that we would exempt it is when someone's on oxygen. And we do
Yeah.
have a few clients, not that we've transported on the bus, but a few that we have taken with our medical, we have volunteer drivers that do medical appointments
Oh,
outside
okay.
of Northbridge. And we're slowly starting to bring that service back as well.
Because the bus doesn't leave town, right?
We do go over to Uxbridge. We
Oh,
go over
okay.
the border.
Okay.
And that is for prescriptions and if anybody needs to get to Hannaford. So we will honor that because of the CVS and Uxbridge, some people utilize that rather than the one in Whitensville.
Oh, okay.
So that is a possibility.
But if you're gonna go to a doctor out of town,
Right.
you have to get a volunteer driver.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, right,
Now, do you allow the oxygen on the bus?
yes.
Okay, so if they are, because a lot of people have got those now, they're getting more compact.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
very
yeah.
portable.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's a little, it's not dragging that big tank.
Not as
around.
cumbersome
Yeah.
as it used to be. No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
In fact, they got the ones now that make the oxygen, right?
Oh, I think I have heard that,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, it
And you
takes it
can
right out
even
of the air.
charge them in your home or something, I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah,
so you don't have to worry about a tank at all.
Technology,
It regenerates, it takes the oxygen out of the air.
okay,
Mhm.
right, and kind of filters it and,
Yeah,
That's kind of neat.
yeah. Yeah, things are improving all the time.
Oh, they are.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're very fortunate too to be living here in Massachusetts with the whole medical specialty that we have in this state, and
Oh, yeah, we got the top hospitals in the world
yeah,
Mhm.
in this, right in this state. In fact, Milford's one of the top ranked hospitals in the country.
yeah. Milford's
Right.
come a long
It
way.
has
since
come
the
a
last,
long way.
Yeah,
and it's a
Yeah.
great hospital. Worcester Medical Center is a good place too.
yes. No, we got some top rated hospitals. You know, being from Iowa, you know where you can go a distance between hospitals.
Yeah, yeah,
Where we got numerous hospitals right in our area.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
tons of them.
Yeah, the town I grew up in didn't have a hospital. We, it was, I think, 9 miles,
Yeah.
away. But, and my older sister was not born in a hospital. So,
Yeah, well, because you're too
Yeah.
far away.
Yeah, kind of aging myself, I guess. But, it was partly being in the Midwest too, though. I'm not that old, but
No.
before hospitals were
Well,
invented.
I got a brother that was born in the house,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and, it was not that uncommon, because transportation wasn't that good.
Yeah.
He's in his late 70s right now.
right,
Mhm.
So, I mean, it was just, transportation wasn't that common.
right,
Yeah.
But now, I mean, we're within minutes of a hospital.
yes.
I won't
Yeah.
say how old my older sister is, because she might watch the show at some
She would-
point in time.
Yeah, she would probably not appreciate that.
You should be proud of your age because you made it that long.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly.
What I
Well,
say,
We say that all the
Yeah.
time where
Yeah.
we work,
Yeah.
because,
Yeah,
age is nothing to us,
yeah.
but, yeah.
no, I mean, you made it that, you've been on the planet that long.
Yeah.
You've been successful to a certain
Absolutely.
extent, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And entitled to say pretty much whatever you want to.
Yeah.
We say the filter comes off and,
Another
Yeah.
thing that happened today was two people that were going to Walmart at the same time. Happened to be two people that were playing in our cribbage league before the COVID, and we had to stop that. So I said, we should have had a deck of cards and a cribbage board on the bus so they could have played a hand. And I played on the league too at one time before I started driving the bus. But they missed a lot of everybody that I've driven. Most of those people, or a lot of them, come down, or did come down to the center, and so they missed that interaction. I had somebody came up to me. I'm not sure who it was because we're all wearing masks, but at Walmart, and they asked me if I knew when the center was going to open up because she liked to do an exercise class there.
Right.
Yeah.
So so it's
Yeah, I mean, those are things that are important to a lot of seniors.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like to exercise by themselves,
No,
but
Yeah.
you get them in a class and they have a great time,
Exactly.
and it's good for you.
yeah.
it is.
It's interaction with
Yeah.
people. That's
But you had things like the French Club,
We did have that, yep,
and
Yeah.
all people went there and played pool. They had their
Yes.
pool leagues, and
pool league,
yeah.
yep.
yeah,
And that I could see, there are some programs I envision will come back slowly, and
Yeah, could you do it on a limited?
exactly.
Yeah, a limited
And so
basis.
the pool room is an example.
Mm.
If I had one or two guys up there,
Yeah.
or girls,
Yeah.
at a time, I'm
Yeah.
fine with that, and
Right.
kind of do it by appointment.
Yeah.
And give them, a set amount of time.
Yeah,
I would be fine with that. In terms of our fitness classes, one of my instructors is going to be coming to the building to do virtual classes. So we are
Oh,
going
okay.
to offer that through Zoom, and we'll see how that goes.
are you surprised how many seniors have access to the internet?
Well, I am, because I think I said the last time I was here, we had the Council on Aging board meeting, and the majority of my members are older folks
Yeah,
with maybe not a lot of technical knowledge. But every single member got onto that meeting, whether it be by phone or laptop or tablet, and did wonderful. So it's that fear, but once they got over that initial fear,
well, the technology
They were
has
okay
come
with
to a
it.
point that's easy now.
it is easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
With just a little instruction.
Right.
And it's really necessary because you kind of get left behind if you don't. I mean, I'm not that old, but I know it struggle a little bit with some of the technology that we have, but you have to do it, otherwise you're kind of left out. Unfortunately, that's the way the world is today, and it would be like somebody, I don't know how many years ago we started the telephone, but it would be like somebody saying, "Well, I don't want to use that," but you got to use a telephone. Who doesn't now? Now it's the mobile phones, but yeah, that's technology.
They wired the farmhouse that my grandmother lived in when a couple of her sons came home from World War II. They said, "We got to get electricity in here." It's on Benson Road. They wired up. She would never put on the lights.
Isn't that
She
interesting?
still used kerosene
Kerosene,
lanterns, kerosene lamps in her bedroom and in the kitchen, because she said, "The devil's in that."
Oh, wow.
Mm.
That's because,
Yeah,
It was the fear of the
yeah,
unknown.
fear of
Yeah.
the unknown.
Something new.
yeah.
That
was probably like that at the turn of the century, when that was all new and everything, and
Well, they saw, we think we see so much advancement now. Think about back then,
right.
when, man's first flight,
yeah,
and the telephone, the telephone came in around 1876.
Mm-hmm.
It debuted at the Expo in Philadelphia.
Oh,
Big
right.
history guy.
I was gonna say,
Oh.
wow, you're rolling things right.
Yeah,
you weren't there, right?
I would
No.
never, I'm a big history guy. I
Oh,
just
okay.
love history. I read history books all the time.
Yeah.
But all these things coming on, radio,
Right.
all these things that it really is a change, a difference.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The electric light bulb, that was around the late 1800s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember talking to my grandfather in the, probably mid to late 60s, and he was born in 1895 or something like that, and I just remember thinking and loving to talk with him about everything that happened just in those 60 years.
Yeah.
From from going to horse and buggy to cars to planes, like you
Right.
said, and everything,
Right.
and even to at that point ready to send people to the moon. I mean, blow my mind that well, look at what he's.
Well, there were people that were alive and not that old in 1969 when man landed on the moon, when Neil Armstrong stepped off that ground, who were around when the Wright brothers made their initial
Right.
flight.
True.
Yeah,
I mean, that's quite an advancement in a very short period of time when you think about it.
yeah,
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 And they saw all that.
yeah.
yeah.
I know my uncle Ed Postman was so fascinated by the computer, and he would say, "How does that work?" I explained it as best I could on the internet.
Right.
But he went back, when he was a kid, he talked about how he had a crystal radio.
Oh,
And that was the first radio set, was a crystal radio. And you made it yourself. And he put it together in his house, and he was able to tune into KDKA in Pittsburgh, which was the first radio broadcast, commercial radio station.
right.
And 'cause with nothing else on there, you picked them up pretty easily. And his father said, "Oh, get away from that thing. Stay away. It's gonna be the devil's gonna be in
Right,
there."
see,
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
People
unknown.
just didn't want
Yeah,
to,
because how is this sound coming?
right, who
out of
is
the air.
that?
Yeah,
And then television.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, really, when you think about it, but we're seeing a lot of technological advancement. It becomes second nature.
It does,
yeah.
yeah,
But it's not as big as advanced. We're seeing advancements on things that were already invented.
exactly, just improving on
Yeah.
what's
The
here. and-
technology, yeah.
I mean, if you would have told someone 30 years ago that everybody would be walking around with their own phone and their own phone number,
Yeah.
what, are you crazy?
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah,
You know?
yeah,
yeah. And it's funny, I mean, all the people that we give rides to, they all have, they're elderly people, but they all have the
cell
phones
phones.
and, and most of the technology that we have, some of them have little older phones or whatever, but most of them have the newer phones now, not even the flip phones that used.
No, they got the,
Those are
Smartphone.
antiquated now, almost, yeah.
the iPads or the,
Yeah.
I forget what I got now.
The iPhones.
Either the
and
iPhones or the Samsung.
Samsung, but
Yeah.
they-
Yeah,
I forget what they call it. I don't call it, Samsung is one they manufacture, but, well, anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
And now, they talk to one another using the camera,
exactly,
Yeah,
which they're starting to embrace more, especially now,
yeah.
to talk to family members or
Yeah.
friends, and and we're encouraging it too.
Yeah.
And having our next newsletter just went to print, and there's a whole section in there of how to use Zoom, but very simply,
Yeah.
how to get on to that format and how to use it and navigate it a little bit. So, we'll just, and people can call us and we can walk through them, the instructions over the phone, and
Yeah,
so-
and, I've been on a couple of times on Zoom now because our planning board meetings were on Zoom.
right.
Always tell me, which reminds me, who's gonna tell you when you're able to open up? Will that be the state?
So it's a combination. I rely on guidelines from Mass Council on Aging,
Uh-huh.
which oversees all
Yeah, all your
the
senior
senior centers in the state. And then I bring those guidelines back to our local Board of Health, and of
Uh-huh.
course, the town manager has the final blessing.
Oh, okay,
So-
so the town manager can make the final decision.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so he has been wonderful and supportive, and we're looking at mid-September.
Oh, okay, well, that's good to
Yes,
know.
Isn't it? It's exciting.
That
It
won't
really
be
is.
full-time opening.
It won't be full-time, it will be limited, but it will be something.
And will they have to go through a check, do you think?
No, not gonna do a check, but I'm going to have a questionnaire
Uh-huh,
where they sign off.
oh,
So we
okay.
wanna make it as simple as possible, but I'm not gonna be going out
You're not gonna
to
be
the-
scanning the
with-
foreheads.
No, no, I'm not gonna do that. It's going to be self-reporting,
Yeah,
which we do every day as employees. We have to self-report.
Right.
There's a application on our computers that each of us have to fill out when we're.
but
at
they
the s-
have found situations where no one has any symptoms at all, and yet they're positive.
Correct,
Yeah.
right.
So, but then again, I wonder sometimes if the test is out of whack.
Well, we've heard that part too.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's,
Yeah,
they're getting a positive reading, but it's a test wrong.
Yeah.
right,
That can happen, anything.
exactly.
Yeah.
But, you know, with the questionnaire, you should be pretty safe.
Absolutely, and that's a way of tracing too. So if someone should become positive, at least we know on what day, who was interacting with who, and it helps us with tracing.
Yeah, and then you could probably reach toward Board of Health, and they can kind of look down, you know, did you meet with a grandchild or something like that?
Right, right.
I think they need to mandate that, I think, even with the restaurants and everything. Some restaurants do that. I went to a restaurant that they asked, you know, I know some people are leery giving their personal information,
Right.
but that's a way of tracking, and I think now with where we've had a little bit of a spike, and they're trying to figure out where is that spike, what in phase 3 caused it. I think they would have a better chance of figuring that out had they tracked where people are going and
Right.
that kind of stuff. But I know also people are afraid of, you know, Big Brother and all that stuff, you know, so giving out information and tracking, they don't like.
Well, we went to Plymouth a couple weeks ago, and from Plymouth, we took a ride up along the South Shore.
Mhm.
Went by Nantasket Beach by Hull,
Mm-hmm.
packed,
Packed, yeah,
jam, and there was no social distancing, it was too many people.
right.
Well, I mean, you're gonna start getting something
Of course
spreading
you
there.
are.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
And they
Yeah.
were all coming out of Boston, of course, because the MBTA runs out of Boston.
Yeah.
Right down to Hull.
Yeah, I've been to that beach. That's a big beach too.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful boardwalk and,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's a very nice place. So, yeah, people from the city
Yeah, because
migrate down.
all the beaches in Boston were closed,
Right,
so you jump on the MBTA and head out there
of course.
Yeah,
to the State Beach.
yeah, yeah,
But you see, that's probably part of the problem.
yeah.
Definitely,
And you have no idea where they've been and who they've been
No.
in contact with, and then that's yeah.
Like I
that's
say,
a-
some people can be positive and not have any signs,
right,
so they don't think, well, I'm all right. Then
yeah,
you could have someone who is sick and coughing everywhere, and nobody's thinking anything of it.
yeah,
right, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But I guess it's more contagious than the flu.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's the concern, is that it just spreads so rapidly. And again, the most vulnerable, they're concerned about people that are in long-term
Right.
care units and facilities and, senior housing, anywhere
Yeah.
where there's groups
Yeah, you're
of-
pretty compact in senior housing, I mean, they utilize the space as much as possible.
Yeah.
Have to say, though, Northbridge has done a tremendous job. None of our senior housing complexes have reported any cases, so they've done
Oh, that's great.
they've done a great job. Yeah,
You know that where they're building up there is senior housing.
I know that, Harry.
Yeah.
I heard that it's a 55 and over.
Yes.
So my response to that is it's job security for me.
Yeah, you have a whole mess of clientele moving in.
Exactly. We are going to be busy.
I just hope the
We're
bus
gonna-
goes up that hill.
We're
That's the
gonna-
hill.
Yeah, we're going to need a new bus.
Yeah. Modernize the bus. Yeah.
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 They actually did a good job with that road, it's not that steep.
No, they did. Yeah, they've really done a nice job of. They've been working hard at that and almost kind of like landscaping it, and they have
Yes.
it looks like a retention pond down at the bottom, because I know they had a real problem there a couple weeks ago when we had a.
We had 5 inches of rain in
Oh.
about an hour.
Yeah.
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 I don't care what
No.
who it is, nobody could control that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And we had washouts in places we never had washouts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they put a lot of stuff in place, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because of that or maybe. They
Oh,
were
part of it,
planning for
yeah, there was, they
Yeah.
saw problems and
Yeah.
they got right on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
but, you know, you had the solar farm being built at the same time too,
Right,
so.
yeah.
But I said, before anybody complains about these two developments, let's go back further. They had cut all the trees.
Mm.
Right.
I mean, they deforested the place.
Yeah.
Did.
So you would have probably had just a bigger problem, if not more, because there was nothing there.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least now there's some drainage and some detention ponds, and
Right,
it's tough
right.
to help catch some of
Control
it.
it a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
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 But that storm was equal to like a 100-year flood.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that came down, that was unbelievable, that was unreal.
Yeah, it
was.
was a
Yeah.
deluge.
I'm noticing, like, in the past few years, our storms are becoming,
Yeah, we
Kinda
get,
significant.
yeah, you get some significant rain.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, just in August, the two really big storms we've had, of course, we got the hurricane coming up, but they've been a real, deluge of rain. I know a couple of times I got caught driving in it, and
Right.
you can't hardly see
Well,
where you're
keep in
going.
mind, when you get out of a drought, we're gonna get a deluge. That's the way it always works.
Yeah.
right.
And if you talk to any meteorologist, they'll tell you,
Mm-hmm.
when you get out of the drought, you get out of it with a deluge.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're good for them in the fall. We can get some real heavy rains in the fall.
That's true.
Yeah.
This
And-
past spring we did too.
Yeah,
We-
yeah. And we're not out of hurricane season till,
No.
we get through October,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
which is something you never worried about in Iowa.
No, we didn't worry
Yeah,
about,
worried
but
about tornadoes.
I was gonna say
We had
tornadoes,
tornadoes out there, but
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, the hurricanes are. But that was a strange storm that we had the other day. I mean, it was very, very windy, but by the time it seemed like by the time the wind started to come through, the clouds were moving out.
Yeah,
and,
well, it was moving the clouds out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like almost blue sky, and
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
the
Very
winds were
strange.
very high.
They clocked the wind on Mount Washington at 95.
Really?
Wow.
So that shows you at 5,000 feet how fast that wind was blowing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
See,
Yeah. It was,
That's what they look at. You want to get the upper winds, you look at Mount Washington,
Right.
because that's a little over a mile high.
Mhm.
It gives an idea of how the winds are blowing.
yeah.
And they figure 90 mile an hour winds, if that had been down here,
Oh yeah. we'd be
Any
in
lower.
trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
but, well, anyway, we keep falling off the subject of seniors, but that's
It
okay.
happens.
That's what
you
this
know.
show's
It's
about.
all
though.
Exactly.
stories,
Yeah.
right?
And it
It's all
makes them
good
more
s-
interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Because I tell people, people don't call because they're too into listening to the conversation.
Yeah.
We hope.
It's like being a voyeur. You're listening in on someone's,
Right.
without them knowing you're listening in on their conversation.
Right.
I was thinking earlier, one of the things that we've done during the COVID is call a lot of the people that either frequented the center or rode the bus, and that was for me. I it was kind of special talking to them, but for them it was a huge thing. I think they were so appreciative, and as a matter of
Yep.
fact, I was talking to Jeff. Not to talk about business, but Jeff was not busy the other day, and I said maybe what we could do in our downtime, if we don't have many, is to call the people
Start
from
calling
the
again.
center.
Yep.
And because I know I called from my home, and I got a list. Kelly gave me a list of people, and sometimes they don't answer because I'm calling from. I only have a cell phone at home. So
Yeah, they don't know the
They don't
number.
recognize
yeah, they
the
get a
number.
cell number and they don't answer. So if we call from the center, at least they see that's a number they
Yeah, because
recognize.
everybody's got caller ID today.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know, I don't answer my phone, I don't answer my phone at home 99% of the time because I know it's somebody trying to sell me something I don't want.
Yeah,
Right.
unless it's a number you recognize
Yeah.
and then you figure if it is somebody that wants you and you need to know, they're going to leave a message. So
Right.
that's what I do.
Sometimes I'll pick up the phone and say, look, I don't know anyone in Brockton.
But it's strange now because cell numbers sometimes, they'll be from some strange area code, but
Yes.
there are people that live in the area, or maybe somebody moved from
Right.
Boston to
Yeah, because
out
you
there.
hold the cell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
so-
because there's so many phones out there, they have to come up with new area code numbers.
Yeah,
So we're no longer 508 all the time now, it goes into other numbers.
right,
Right.
yeah, 978 and
Yeah,
stuff like that, yeah.
because there's so many phones. Everyone has its own number.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But another thing they do though is these the people are making these calls, they slam numbers.
Oh, right.
And they'll slam a number with 234.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate not to pick those up because being a town official,
Right.
it might be a citizen calling with a question or something. And a couple of times, I'll say, hello, and wait a minute, are you calling me from Northbridge? Oh, there's something wrong with the computer, it shouldn't have gave you that number. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
baloney.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Or
Right.
they'll give me it'll say a person's name, and
Right.
it's not that person.
yeah.
I've had my own number come up.
Yeah, see what I mean? Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, that's strange.
Yeah. But then I know,
Yeah.
unless I'm losing it, which on some days. No, then I
No.
know it's not valid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's unbelievable. That's what technology today allows them to do.
Yeah.
I know.
And they're not supposed to, and then you get on the no-call list.
It
Believe me,
doesn't matter.
No.
No, it does. That has never worked.
No.
It seems. Yeah. Keep changing everything.
But
so
we
much.
encourage and we educate so much for frauds and scams. But then, as we shut down at COVID, then now we're trying to reach out and, like you said, if they don't recognize the number,
Right.
we've taught them
Not
to be cautious, and now we're trying to reach them. And so,
Well,
but I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a big problem for seniors, is a lot of these people with their scams.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know, I've already gotten email, I got in the past, I got emails, I got phone call for the $1,200 they were sending out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And the government doesn't call you.
No.
Yeah.
The Social Security will not call you, they'll send you a letter. The IRS will send you a letter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So don't fall into that.
No.
Are
They're
they
not
ca-
making phone calls.
I know there was an incident, the chief was telling me, he didn't give me any names, but he told me about a woman who actually took her life savings out of the bank, and as much as, I think it was like $50,000 on one of those scam calls saying it was from the IRS, and she had to get this money in right away.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
God, whatever you do out there, don't listen to anyone
No.
on the telephone.
Right. Yeah.
No. Or call somebody and call the police station, call us at the senior center.
Yes. Write the
Before you do
number down if you
anything,
got-
and,
if you
and
can-
try to write the number down.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, but don't do anything until you talk with someone who can look
Yeah,
into
you
it.
can verify it,
Right,
because you will get a letter.
yes,
They never call, they
No.
send a letter.
Yeah.
yeah.
Did
Or
you-
if it's really bad, they'll send someone out to knock on the door.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I had one time, and I answered the phone, and they start up, and I says, oh, am I glad you called, because I work for the State Attorney General's office. Click!
Yeah,
I try to put it back on them,
right, exactly, right,
and then hopefully they're gonna get their number.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, I just hate, they take advantage of people,
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
especially the elderly, who are so concerned, they want, oh God, they're so worried about paying their bills.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, or making it to, you know,
If
the
those
next
people
day.
used the technology for good rather than to try to scam people, we'd be a lot better off.
You're right.
And most of them are so. When you think about it, they're so knowledgeable to be able to
trick.
people or
Deceit.
get into hacking, that kind of stuff.
Oh,
is-
yeah, that's
is,
the other thing you gotta watch out for.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. That's especially with the phones and the elderly. Probably it might be a good thing to have some kind of a class on that once they come back about to watch out for that. How somebody could
I
send an email.
check my bank account every morning.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I know what I spent.
yeah,
yeah,
And I, you know, have automatic bill paying. But I
Right.
know what's mine. And
Right.
boy, if I saw something in there, I'd be on the phone to the bank
Absolutely.
instantly.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
But the banks have done a tremendous job in putting in their own
Their security is
securities.
very good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they're constantly upgrading. You have to.
That's the only way you
because
can get ahead, or,
Yep.
or to stay kind of ahead of,
Yeah,
of all these.
keep building the firewalls of
Right.
them to try to hack in.
Yeah.
We're running low on time, but I wanna give a handout. You got 2 new buses, right?
We have one,
1 new.
one newish.
Ah,
It's a 2016, believe it or not.
wow.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, geez, boy, it did fly. It took 4
Yes.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Unibank was instrumental in,
Unibank was a large sponsor for
Yeah.
that. The townspeople contributed to that.
Yeah.
The Friends of Northbridge Elders, the fundraisers, and they contributed. So we're very grateful to all of those contributors.
and you're able to get a bus that anyone can drive.
Yes, so you don't need to have a special license.
Right, you don't have to have a class 2,
Right,
Yeah,
right. CDL, no,
CDL.
yeah.
no.
Yeah, which is great, because you can actually get in the bus yourself, then.
I do,
Yeah.
from time to time, yes.
And we have a lift for those who are, not able to climb the stairs or whatever, and the
Yes,
lift works for.
very important, yeah. 'Cause you can pick up people in wheelchairs.
Yes, yeah.
So
Yeah,
once the senior center opens up again, now we'll open up, you be pick some of these people up,
yeah,
get them out of the house.
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
Like I say, that's important. It's really too bad that they've been stuck, but you're looking at mid-September, that's not bad.
It's not bad, no, no.
We're
And
closer
again,
to there
just-
than we think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. But also, another exciting thing, and if you happen to drive through Highland Street, over the next, it's hopefully starting next week, we're putting in a new patio in the front of the building.
Oh,
So it will give us, another
like the
space.
restaurants will be able to be outside.
We received a wonderful donation from Unilock in Uxbridge. They're
Oh, okay.
donating all the pavers to us.
Oh,
And then we
wow.
have a landscaper that has given us a tremendous estimate, and he took off a large portion of the bill.
Well, you can name them, that sounds good.
It's Scott's Landscaping out of Hopkinton,
Uh-huh.
and he knows, he's a family friend of, or he's family of my assistant. And so
Oh.
he was willing to put the patio in and give us a really good discount.
It's basically covering its cost.
Exactly. So between the Friends of Northbridge Elders and another gift that we received from the David Moradian Foundation,
Mm-hmm.
we will be installing this beautiful patio space.
That's
Nice.
great, that's
Very
great,
nice.
because that's a nice area out there.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that'll look nice, and
Yes.
great spot, because you watch the traffic go by. and-
Exactly. But then give another opportunity while the weather is still nice to
Yeah,
have some small groups meet outside.
yeah, that's great, that
Yeah.
bring you closer to be able to open.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
But we gotta wrap it up.
Well, thank you, Harry.
Okay, we'll be back in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
On a Thursday night.
Yes.
See you then.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Take care. Bye-bye.